The cactus. For most species, a succulent plant with a thick fleshy stem which typically bears spines, lacks leaves, and has brilliantly colored flowers. But for this T-Rex, a deadly force of nature.
Green means go.
So there's this little game, you might have heard of it. It runs in Chrome when there's no internet, there's a dinosaur, a desert, and a few obstacles here and there. You jump, duck, and run for as long as you can. It's a blast. I actually did a video about it last year, didn't do that bad. But anyway, Google Chrome celebrated its 10th birthday this summer, and on that occasion, Google published an interview with the creators of the Dino game. They talked about things like how they came up with the idea to make the game, the meaning behind it, the new update that was recently rolled out, and more. I'll leave a link for the interview in the video description so you can check it out for yourself. Some of those things were already covered in A Dinosaur Story, so if you're not really a reading person and would like some cool new facts about the Chrome Dino game, and by new I mean ones that weren't mentioned in A Dinosaur Story, stay tuned. So as we already know, the game was released in 2014 as a clever little Easter egg stating that when you lose your connection to the internet, it's like you're thrown back to the age of dinosaurs. But here's another fun fact. The first design iterations of the dinosaur character were given the codename Project Bolan. This is most likely a reference to Marc Bolan, the late lead singer of the English glam rock band T-Rex. The band was actually formed by Bolan, who is considered to be one of the pioneers of the 1970s glam rock movement. He died in a car accident when he was just 29. The offline Dino game was written by Chrome UX engineer Edward Young, who prior to this didn't have much experience in creating games. In fact, this was the first game he had ever written. I had a lot to figure out, said Young in the Google interview, like jump physics, collision detection, and cross-platform compatibility. Now, some might say simple stuff, but it wasn't that easy, especially because the game had to run across multiple different platforms. The team ran into problems with the first iteration of the game which didn't perform well on older Android devices. Because of that, Young actually had to rewrite the entire thing. The dinosaur game runs automatically when Chrome detects there's no internet connection, but you can also manually run it by using this URL. Before it became very well known, many people didn't even know that the offline page actually contained a game. Nothing really happens before you interact with the keyboard or screen. In the early stages of development, the team thought it would be a good idea to make the T-Rex roar in order to signal that it's alive. They even made an animation for it, however, it wasn't included in the final game. In the end, we settled on the basics of any good runner game: run, duck, and jump, said designer Alan Bettis. In A Dinosaur Story, we talked about how some schools had a problem with the game because students would play it during class and how the development team therefore had to come up with a way to disable it on enrolled devices. Now, there was quite a bit of discussion about the message that should be displayed when a user encounters a disabled game. One of the first options was Fun Disabled by Administrator. Someone suggested that it was important to let people who never saw the original game know that there was something fun there. However, this option was quickly disputed by other participants in the discussion who pointed out that the message sounded a bit too judgmental. The goal was to come up with a message that would be perfectly clear but non-offensive to any of the parties involved in the issue. It was overthinking at its finest. Eventually, it was decided that the message would read, "The owner of this device has turned off the dinosaur game," and that the icon would include asteroids. Okay, let's soften things up with a quickie, a Dino quickie. Okay, this script is kind of weird here. I don't even know what that was supposed to... Anyway, if you played the dinosaur game sometime around Chrome's 10-year anniversary, you may have noticed a few new things. That's because there was an anniversary edition which included a birthday cake, a party hat, and balloons passing by in the background. However, it appears that that was just a temporary thing because now the game looks the same as usual, at least on all my devices. Now, if you're wondering just how popular the dinosaur game is, maybe this can give you an idea. According to the creators, about 270 million games are played every month across all platforms. Of course, that can be a statement of the game's popularity, but it can also be a statement about the crappy internet that a lot of people have. Interestingly enough, most games are played in countries with unreliable or expensive mobile data, like India, Mexico, Indonesia, Brazil, etc. The Chrome Dinosaur game is something that is known as an infinite runner, which means that it's not designed to be beaten. You just keep going for as long as you can stay alive, both in-game and out. So technically, it could go on forever, right? Well, not really, because you and I both know that nothing lasts forever. And it's obviously no different with the Dinosaur game. Although it's most certain that you'll never reach its end, that doesn't mean it doesn't have one. The game is actually built to max out at approximately 17 million years, which is just about the amount of time the T-Rex species lived on Earth. And speaking of endings, that would conclude your Dinosaur Story extras. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay strong. Okay, so are we completely gonna ignore the, between his little dino legs, there's almost like a little... You see it, right? It's like there's a... You know what? Never mind. There's nothing.